So as you think about not only this election year, but all of you who are students here, you think about your future. Whether you're a Republican or a Democrat or an independent, whether you consider yourself a traditional liberal or conservative, I ask you to remember the tradition that you learned here. This is a religious institution that believes in the life of the mind. This is a Jesuit institution representing an order which for hundreds of years now has been legendary for developing people's intellectual capacities. The man who taught me comparative religions when I was at Georgetown, popularly known as Buddhism for Baptists, Father Joseph Seabees we had 204 people in the class. He gave oral examinations to the non-American students who didn't feel comfortable writing their exam questions in 9 languages. We had a Hungarian economics professor when I was here named Joseph Serini that made everybody sit in an assigned seat till Thanksgiving, took roll every day, then you could sit wherever you wanted. And at the end of the second semester, not the first, the second semester, a friend of mine and I were walking up to him and he said, "Father, I think I'm going to have trouble on the final." And he looked at him and he said, "What do you expect? You missed 3 classes." He kept roll in his head from people not sitting in assigned seats for a whole semester, and he had 200 kids in 5 classes. In other words, what does this mean? It means these deeply religious people believed, as all religious people do of whatever faith, that there is a truth. But they believed life was a journey toward it. And they believed in the most humbling possible way in the relentless search to develop the mind that God had given them to the maximum possible degree to aid in the search. But they knew no matter how smart they were, no matter how many students they remembered, no matter how many languages they spoke, they would never be in full possession of the truth, much less be able to turn it into a political program that was absolutely true, that you were somehow less human if you did not embrace. And so they created this university, and so many like it, to help people in their journey in life. And they, like the founders, from a much more secular point of view, did so because they realized that what we have in common is more important than our interesting differences. I try always to mention in every speech I give now that when the human genome was sequenced, the most interesting finding to me was that all human beings are genetically more than 99.9% the same. Yet all of us spend over 90% of our lives, I know less than anyone else, thinking about that 1/10 of 1%. I'm older, I'm younger, I'm taller, I'm shorter, I'm smarter, I'm richer, I'm poorer, I'm this, I'm that, or the other thing. You think about the way we organize our lives, it's all about that 1/10 of 1%. All the common good is a reaffirmation of the fact that in the end, in order for your 1/10 of 1% to flower, to amount to a hill of beans, you have to give others the same chance. That the 99.9% is ultimately more important. And without tending to that, you can't possibly unleash the 1/10 of 1%. Does this answer everything we should do in Iran or what we should do now in Iraq or exactly how we should move to universal coverage and stop spending 50% more than any other country and ensuring 16% fewer people? No. In healthcare, doesn't answer all those things, but it will put you on the right road. I know it will because it worked for us. Did we make mistakes when I was president? Sure. Did everything we try work? No. But on balance, people were way better off when we stopped than when we started. Why? Because of the commitment to equal opportunity, shared responsibility, and an inclusive community, the basic building blocks of the common good. I long for the day when my party does not represent both the progressive and the conservative strains in the search for the common good, but we do today. We are the conservative party on the budget, on natural resources, on military resources, and the progressive party on the minimum wage, on health care, on education. I long for the day when we will return to a debate that is not about who's a good person and who's a slug, not about who represents the religious truth and who is basically running for office on his or her way to hell. You laugh, but you know I'm telling you the truth. I long for the day when Republicans and Democrats will sit around and have these raucous, exciting arguments and actually love learning from one another. And when we create the common good out of a dynamic center, it works. You can just look at the evidence and compare it to what went before and what happened after. Ideological, divisive, demonizing, distracting politics, they may be very good for an election, particularly when people feel unsettled and insecure, but they don't do much to advance the common good. So whatever your politics are, I hope that throughout your life you will try to advance it, because that's what our founders told us to do. And they turned out to be pretty smart. They figured it out more than 2 centuries before the scientists discovered that we are 99.9% the same. Thank you very much.